Turning the Key to Real Estate. I'm your host, Nicholas Feagley.
And Heather Petrone-Shook.
Okay, well, everybody, we are live today in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Heather suckered me into not bringing any of our equipment.
Oh, that's a pain. It's an absolute pain to watch you travel with all that stuff.
I know. And honestly, so everybody thinks it's a gun because the case is probably as long as it is from Heather and I with all of our mics. Like, it's quite hilarious. People think I'm rolling in with like a shotgun or something, but I'm not.
We don't have roadies.
It's microphones.
We don't have roadies, so it ends up being us lugging this stuff. Actually, no.
We
I
have a
pretend
cart.
like I broke something and I can't carry anything.
So we decided to rent this beautiful studio here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Studio Me, super excited.
Awesome. Support local
Great
business.
space.
This is a great space.
Yeah, it really is. And Heather can now apologize to Kelly because Nick's got some spending to do.
It is all my fault.
But you guys are going to be super excited coming down the pike for some of our podcasts. We have done some upgrades, so you guys are going to start to get to see those with cameras and all that fun stuff. Check out our Facebook. We just upgraded our iMac and stuff. But today we're going to be doing 6 podcasts, and our first one we are being graced with Brian.
Yes.
Brian, how are you?
I'm wonderful.
Good.
I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah,
We're excited to have
awesome.
you. We're so excited to have you.
Ready to spend like the whole week together?
I know.
Yeah, well,
So
yeah.
we are. So we'll see each other today, and then we'll see each other technically the next 4 days.
Yeah.
As we all travel back to Harrisburg.
Correct.
No wonder
So-
we drink.
What? No. It's a wonderful trip. Although if I can get this one over here to stop making wrong turns in Pittsburgh.
Oh my fucking God.
He misses bridges.
The goddamn bridges
He
here.
misses turns every single time we're here.
Only on
Every
bridges.
single
Only
time.
on bridges.
That's a terrible place to make a wrong turn.
Thank you. But why do you have 7 ways to get on and off the damn bridge? Like, a bridge has one on and one exit.
No.
Like, not 12.
No.
Did you know that we have more bridges than Venice?
So
No.
that's a really good point, because I actually said to him, we missed that bridge, but look, it's taking us over another one.
Yeah,
And
you
then
have
it
to take
took
a
us
bridge to get
over
to a bridge.
another one.
Yes.
And then another one. I'm like, why can't we just have a direct route? Okay. So the city planner of Pittsburgh, can we get a direct route, please?
No, and listen, in their defense, and I said this to you, they have a lot of water. All right. They've
They
got
have
a lot of
what?
water. They got a lot of water.
They have a lot of water.
They got a lot of water.
You
They
can't
do. They
blame
got a lot
those
of
Philly
water.
people.
There's a lot of water around them. They got to get over the water somehow. I totally understand. 110%.
For those of you that don't understand, water is water.
That's what I said. Water. Anyway, Brian.
So Brian,
Tell
yes,
us about
Brian.
you. Tell us about you. Tell us about your team. What got you into real estate? Why did you get into this industry?
Oh,
And at what
no.
point in time did you regret it?
Do we want the elevator pitch? Do we want the long
No,
story?
we want
the
whatever
short story?
whatever you've got for us.
All
Whatever
right.
you've got for us.
So growing up, we moved across the country constantly. I was in like 12 different schools by the time I was 9.
Oh wow.
So it was California, Vermont, Arizona, Pittsburgh. Then I moved back to California, and now I'm back in Pittsburgh. But I was always really fond of the real estate agents that my parents used to use.
Okay.
They were glamorous. They were charmingly funny.
Oh,
You know, the typical sales agent.
Yeah.
You know. So
Bless
I
your
kind of
heart.
always wanted to be that person. And when I was 18, I ran into my current manager, Tom Yargo, and I told him, you know what? I'm going to drop out of college. I'm going to get my license. I'm going to sell real estate. And he goes, no, you're not. You're going to finish your degree. You're going to get a couple of years of work experience under your belt, and then you can come back and talk to me. And so it was in 2016 that I took my courses, got my license, and went to go visit Tom again.
So 2016 was right at the belly of, we're just coming out of the
08.
10-year recession
Yeah.
that we were in. So it wasn't necessarily it wasn't flowing. Real estate wasn't flowing.
No.
So when you started, what was it like for you? Because you were coming out of you had this glamorous idea now of what real estate was like. What did it change?
Very quickly, it changed.
So you mean you don't wipe your house with the $100 bills?
Well, now I do. So I just spent all my time in the office.
Mhm.
I got a really good piece of advice from one of the top agents here in the city, and she's still performing. And she said, have lunch with me every day. Show up to the office and have lunch. You never know when I'm going to need a favor. You never know when I'm going to need an extra hand to do a showing or to sit in open house. And she actually came with me on my first luxury listing appointment, and she helped me secure the deal.
Nice.
It was really just about making sure that I show up and I'm doing the stuff. And by doing the stuff, that was answering the phone calls that come into the office and then filling out blank contracts. So I probably still have it actually, a stack of contracts, forms, addendums written out to Susie and Joe at 123 Banana Street, just constantly making up different sales scenarios to try and better learn all of the paperwork.
That's so smart.
I'm a paperwork nerd, so
It too.
I love it.
So at what point in time would you say that the switch got flipped and you no longer were having to hustle as much and your phone started to ring more?
It hasn't yet.
Oh, okay.
That's not true. You're being very modest.
Well, now
You know
I
what,
have a
though? I
team.
like that
Right.
answer because
Right.
even the top performers realize that, yes, my phone rings more, but I still have to prospect. So I really appreciate that answer. But like, there was a point where your phone started to ring more.
Yes.
Yes.
Where you weren't making the calls, they were calling
Yeah.
you.
Correct. It took about 3 years.
Okay.
It was mid 2019 when I believe I had 17 transactions going all at once, and I went, I can't do this. This is far too much. And that's when I started coming up with the idea of, all right, I should hire somebody.
Okay.
I need
But like
some
a
help.
successful
I need
real
a
estate
team.
agent, you don't turn away the deal.
Oh,
You
no.
just, I'll take the
Absolutely
next
not.
one.
Absolutely
18,
not.
So
19.
you figured out. So who did you bring on first?
My first was Rachel Martin,
Okay.
and she is still with me. I'm sorry, Rachel Martin Cavato. She got married
Yay, Rachel.
and just bought a
Congrats.
house. Super excited for her.
Oh, were you
Awesome,
her
Rachel.
agent?
I was not. No, it was actually with a builder.
Oh,
here,
nice.
in the
Rachel was
city.
her own agent.
So she was
could
her
do
own
it on her
agent.
own. Okay.
Yes.
Honestly,
She's
so we'll come back to that
more
because
than
I have my
capable.
own feelings on that though too.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we'll come back to that.
But congrats, Rachel, on all things. So you brought Rachel on, and what was she doing?
She was brand new.
So she was brand
Got her
new.
license.
Did she have lunch with you every day? Just asking.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
She got his dry cleaning. She rubbed his
No,
feet.
because if you
Oh,
think about
yeah.
the way that he was brought up in the industry,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would think that would be if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
That would be something that you would do with someone else. Stick next to me, shadow next to me, and you'll learn from me.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
All of the agents on my team I brought on as brand new agents, with the exception of Tracy, and Tracy was the second person to join us. But I like doing that because I get to be the person that I wanted to have when I first started in real estate, and they get that from me.
Yeah.
I don't want to see any agent struggle, especially a brand new one. It's very easy to get jaded within the first 6 months. You go, oh, I haven't had a closing. I don't have any contracts. I don't have any buyers. And then you fizzle away.
Yeah.
So, this way I'm able to get them extra leads. I can hand off business. But I go to when they first start, I go to every appointment. I go to all of their showings. I try to show them how to do it, but in lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want anything to be conceptual. It should be hard, fast, and concrete.
I even do the whole don't send an email. Let me look at it.
Yep.
Let me critique it. Then send it out. That way you look polished, you look fresh, you look clean, you look like you know what you're doing, even though you might have no clue.
Mhm.
But that's my job. Let me teach you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The contract reviews, I mean, it all has my name on it. And so it has to be at my level.
Mhm.
Mm.
And even though it might be their first day, that's great, but it's going to look like you've been in this business for 10 years.
Yeah.
Which is great. So then you brought on your second team member,
Yes.
and then you went to
Then I went to 3.
3.
What are you sitting at right now?
Rachel, Rob, Tracy, LaConya, and Tiara. So there's
Yeah.
6 of us in total.
6 of you in
Yeah.
total.
6 since
So-
2016. So it was
Mhm.
2019 when you brought on your first.
Mhm.
That's pretty good growth.
Yeah.
It is.
You know, I would give that 2 thumbs up.
Like that.
Definitely 110%.
Yeah.
And what markets do you handle?
So now that I kind of have the luxury of being able to stay in the city,
Mm-hmm.
that's primarily where I focus. Rachel is up north. Rob is out in Greensburg. Tracy is a little south of the city in Dormont. So we have our feet in all the different localities. So we'll go as far north as Butler and as far south as Washington and east out towards like Irwin.
Okay. Which is good and do you handle solely residential? Do you do commercial?
I much prefer residential,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll work with like commercial, so like 5+ units, but residential units. When it gets into actual commercial real estate, that's not my territory.
It's a different
Yeah.
ballgame.
It is. It is. And which is good because, I mean, you have to know your strengths and your weaknesses, and that when you breach that zone, it gets into a little iffy.
Yeah. And unless you
Correct.
have a good mentor in that role that you could call up and ask that weird question, because no deals are the same,
No.
Right.
you know, to bounce that idea off of, you know, it's probably best.
And I'm
Yeah.
really big on relying on the expert. And if I'm not the expert in something and I know that I can't confidently do it, I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
Unless I've had the time to practice and evolve and get to that point.
So if you had to tell your younger real estate self one thing, what would it be?
Be authentically you. I spent far too much money and time trying to be somebody else,
Okay.
trying to be that agent that I wanted to emulate. I'm not Ryan Serhant. I'm not on Selling Sunset, but I am perfectly Brian. And
I like that.
Okay, we got a new
Perfectly
show.
Brian.
Perfectly Brian.
Perfectly Brian. I love it.
Yes.
I love
So
it.
Heather's never watched Selling Sunset.
No.
And I was trying to give her a glimpse of what it was like on the car ride here with 3 hours at 12 o'clock in the morning.
sure.
And it was quite interesting because she watches $1 Million Listing. Selling Sunset's like completely different.
It's completely different. It's like pairing the Real Housewives
Yes.
with real estate.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, I
And then
guess
a
I would
little bit of like Days of Our Lives mixed in.
some drama.
Oh, every time
all
they
the
open their
drama.
mouth, I just want to slap the shit out of them.
Oh,
I'm
no.
not even going to lie.
Oh no, we're not,
So,
not
Brian,
into violence.
What is your next 5 years look like?
I don't even know what tomorrow looks like.
And
to be
that's
honest.
okay.
But in the next 5 years, I would like to grow the team. And whether that team becomes, me taking over an office and working in management, or me expanding my team to essentially be the size of an office, I'm ready to take that next step. I've been working with a coach. I never thought that I would need a coach, but we can talk about that later too. And really trying to get my processes and my habits in line so that I can expand, so that
Mhm.
it's something that there's an easier place for people to join in, and we have a set protocol on who does what and how they do it. Rob and Rachel both just got promoted. They're now my senior agents. So Rachel's in charge of all of my listings and Rob is in charge of all of the buyers. And so anybody on the team that has questions relating to those, they can go direct to them. If they don't know the answer, then they can come direct to me.
And that's good. You're setting it up where
Correct.
you can step back a little bit more and then grow the other side of it. So to help keep generating.
Correct.
What would you say is one hurdle that people don't understand that a team leader has?
Every agent is busy.
Every
I'm-
good, successful agent is busy.
Correct. And some can fake it until they make it.
Correct.
Busy. But when you're dealing with 2 or 3 transactions individually as an agent, I'm dealing with 5 of them plus my own work. And so everything is just exponentially bigger. And when people are putting your name on something, you have to really trust them and you have to be able to give up some control. That is very hard for somebody like me that built it. And now I have to watch other people run with it. But I do trust them explicitly. They do an amazing job. It's just it's a switch in the brain where you just have to let it go a little bit. That's not easy.
No, and you're right. I Totally 110% agree.
What would you say is an attribute a team leader needs to have and somebody that is better fit to be a team player?
I think you have to have a sense of humor. This industry will
Change you.
will change you.
Will test your limits.
Yes, it will test your limits. You will Thelma and Louise if you could, but it's if you have that sense of humor and you understand that this is not my house, this is not my money, I'm helping somebody else manage that, and so I'm not going to take it so personally when an inspection report comes back or when an agent does something incorrect. It's a teaching moment. It can be a laughable moment as long as we get over the money hurdles and whatnot. But I think you have to maintain a sense of humor and just absolute patience. Yeah.
Completely agreed.
So back to the emotional thing.
Oh, emotions.
So
Oh, Lord.
I have had to deal with agents that have wanted to buy or sell for themselves, and I have been on the opposite side. And they were agents that were not able to remove their emotions from the transaction and look at it like a physical agent would have.
Sure.
And it was a very curt conversation of like, maybe you should have this conversation with your manager or your office or your broker, whoever, and then come back and visit me, because what my buyer or seller just asked of you is completely reasonable. And I'm sorry you can't see that, because I feel like there's more emotions in it, especially when voices were getting raised and stuff. So not every agent should handle their own sale or buy unless you can physically pull those emotions out of it. And I've become and I even tell my buyers and sellers this, I've become very heartless to the process. I don't look at, oh, this is going to be the dream home that you're making it during the process. I'm looking at it as, here's the list of tasks. This is what needs to be done. These are the facts. Once we get all of that done, okay, let's plan, let's dream, let's make that happen. We have a small period of time. We need to focus on the facts and not, oh, but I bought this cat. You did what? You did what?
Oh, I love the mid-transaction purchase.
I love the quitting my job mid-transaction.
That's a fun one to learn 2 days before closing.
I had somebody buy a truck, $70,000 truck.
These are all things that are out of our control, but it's things that, if you think about it, as real estate agents, we kind of take on and we receive the emotions of our clients.
We're counselors. We're marriage counselors.
But we receive. Listen, we're getting the tears and the joy and the anger and the happiness. We're receiving all of that, and then we have to filter that through. I mean, it's just like when a buyer tells the seller, "I love your house. I can't wait," and I have to prep my seller. Okay, I know they might have written you this letter and snuck it in your mailbox without me knowing about it.
Oh Jesus!
But let's get through the home inspection before you before you madly fall in love with each other as far as them buying your house.
Because that love could turn into 3 new lights being added. That's what she's dealing with right now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Maybe not that exact seller or buyer, but yeah.
This is my dream home and I'll do anything for it. Also,
but
there's a slight scuff on the wall.
Yeah, can you install
can
you install a porch light that didn't exist?
Can I get the sink stopper replaced?
Yeah, sink stopper. I mean, it happens. It happens.
I think there are 3 distinct stages to it, and it's, at least from the emotional roller coaster side. There's that build up, the excitement, the joy, the possibilities, the hope, pure transaction. Then the excitement, the hope, the dreams. But you got to get through
and that's
those
why
important stages.
When I do that consultation, I build that in up front because I want them to understand there's going to be a part where I'm going to feel and look a little cold, but it's because we need to look at facts and facts only right now. And then we'll get excited again.
But there's also a time in our transaction where if you think about it, we're together, and let's just use a buyer. We're together with the buyer and we're showing them properties and we're going through everything and we go through the inspection. Then we go ahead and we get to that point. And once you get past inspections, we kind of pull back because that's when the mortgage and title need to come in. And they feel sometimes like every once in a while, just touch it. Hey, I'm still here. I know it's not as like we didn't talk like every single day like we used to. And I've had some buyers come back to me like, oh yeah, like I felt a little weird. Like, And I said, well, give it another
Is
week,
that
and
the-
then we're going to start ramping back up again.
Is that the "it's not you, it's me" text?
No, it's. I
At
didn't
least
need
there's
a
a text
break.
and it's not a ghosting
Right.
situation.
I didn't need to take a break, Rachel. No. But that's the whole thing. It's like we deal with this roller coaster of emotion that they're going through. And sometimes we get tainted sometimes because I think we've gone through this before.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how many transactions you've done, you've gone through the motions. And I have to always remind myself as a veteran agent, and that's one thing for new agents too, to remind them even though this is your first transaction, this might be their first transaction. Even though this is your 100th transaction, might be their first transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you always have to remember.
So Brian, what advice would you give to somebody looking to get into the industry and obviously maybe they know how to get started with taking the test and going for this and getting all that figured out, but their next step of like sitting down with broker, what are questions that you would recommend that they ask that broker? Because it's a two-way interview. Like you need to interview them. They're going to interview you. What would be some of those questions you would recommend that they ask to those hiring managers in that interview?
Or team leaders.
Or team leaders.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would want to know the frequency that people are coming into the office. How often
Mm.
is it being used? What are the tools and resources available to me? Am I paying for printing? We have so many incremental costs constantly.
Nickel and dimed.
Nickel and dimed. But little things like printing off flyers for your open house. Do you really want to be spending 10 cents a page or 25 cents a page to run those copies?
Some of those are now 50 cents a page.
Inflation.
It's insane.
It's and I would think about it more from like a transactional standpoint, but back office items are going to be super important. How often people are there in the office, because if I'm going to encourage you to be there, you need to have people to interact with.
True.
It doesn't do
Can't
you
be
any
ghost
good
town. Can't
if
be ghost
you're
town.
just sitting there by yourself for 8 hours.
I'm sorry. I love a good tumbleweed.
No, it's not for a new agent. And he's spot on. What should a new agent be asking, what's happening? Because if there's no vibe in the office,
right,
you definitely can feel a feed when
yeah.
there's people in an office, when then there's nobody.
Yeah.
So
It feels like a morgue.
I would definitely ask them to look into joining with a team, or if they have a mentorship program of some sort. I think diving into this alone works for such a small percentage. I'm one of the lucky few that I was able to do it, but there are so many people that I started with that aren't in the business anymore. And I think there's a higher rate of success when you have that mentor-mentee relationship, whether it's from a team perspective or just somebody that you're helping out in the office. And what their average price point is in the office.
Okay.
My office has one of the highest average sale prices, but we're also right down the street. And so our average is $575, which is great.
That's because you guys get like $2.6 million listings.
Correct. And
we're going to go see one of those today.
Are you?
Yes.
Good. The other houses, or the other offices in the area, are hovering in like the low to mid twos. But what that tells me is that I have a higher chance
of getting something
in that price range, or working and connecting with the agents that have them. And if I can get that exposure to them, or even just hold them open at an open house, my chances of breaking into that market are significantly higher.
That's great advice.
I love those questions, those questions. So to just wrap this up, talk to me a little bit about why you stay in the real estate industry with everything that's going on, with all the bad media that's happening to our industry. And we're not surprised. I always say the shocking thing, the attacks that we are going under. Why stay in the real estate industry? Why is it important?
No. This is all I know.
That is not his answer.
That is not my real answer. It is not.
Because I'm beating him as soon as the cameras are off.
I think that our industry, our world, went into a collective panic mode. And when I was sitting down and I'm looking at it, really not much has changed for me.
No.
Preach.
Our process has not effectively changed.
Yeah.
We've had buyer agency in Pennsylvania for 25 years.
Yep.
It's just when we have that conversation has changed. So now it's happening
when it was meant to
when it was
happen.
meant to happen and not right before we're writing the offer. And so it's an easy pivot for us. And as far as changing the perspective of, the people in the industry from outsiders looking in, it goes back to just being authentically you. If you're going to project yourself and your professionalism, people are going to see that and they'll feed off of it.
Right.
If you are running around going wild, attacking this or judging that or questioning whether it was the right decision or not, let's just move forward. It is what it is. Adapt, adjust, and continue.
Yeah.
So I saw the funniest, because what you just said, I saw the funniest thing the other day on TikTok, and Heather gets jealous. She doesn't have followers.
12.
I thought you were going to say she doesn't have TikTok.
No, she has it.
What else do you do between the hours of 10 p.m. and 1 a.m.?
I have 12 followers.
We drive to Pittsburgh. So I saw a video the other day, and it was so true. And I was like, that is me to the core. And I have a feeling this statement's going to make you feel the same. Any person who says it is what it is somebody who has accepted life and is not somebody you want to fuck with.
Oh.
Wow.
And I was like,
Okay,
yep, that fits.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I mean, it because you cannot change it. You've just got to roll with it. I love how you brought up the fact that, watching the frenzies that are happening out there, that's not doing any good for you. Just hit unfollow, get that information from your sources, like your brokers, your associations, your attorneys. Don't listen to the mass hysteria out there, guys. Obviously agents like Brian, Heather, and I have not seen any dip in our business. I mean, mine's up probably 5% from last year. It should be higher. My team had to come to Jesus the other day. Brian,
we're on track for having the best year ever.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, Brian, thanks for coming in and hanging out with us here at this beautiful and being
in your hometown.
In my hometown.
I know.
One who christened us being here.
I love this space. And
Yeah,
I love
I
you
do.
both. Thank you so much for having me.
Can't wait to spend the week with you.
Right.
We'll see
You're
how
not
you
done
feel
with
on
us yet.
Wednesday.
Well, everybody, that was another episode of Turning the Key to Real Estate. I am your host, Nicholas Feagley.
And Heather Petrone-Shook.
Don't forget to like, follow, share for more great content like this today.